Okay, well, here's the finished application. You're going to be able to set the number you want to text with. You're going to be able to enter in a message and send, of course. You're also going to be able to click in a checkbox, and what's going to happen if that's checked is if somebody sends you a text message, it's going to reply based off of whatever you have written there. And of course, it's also going to display the messages that you send as well as the messages you receive down below. And I don't have telephone numbers on here because I don't want anybody to call me. Sorry about that. So let's make it. Okay, so you saw the application, and here it is again. I'm not going to go through how all of this stuff's put together because I've covered it so many times. Basically, it's very, very simple. I'm going to have an horizontal arrangement. I'm going to throw a text box inside of it and a button. I'm going to have another text box. Maybe it even makes more sense to just come over here and take a look at this. Basically, you're going to set your number that you want to text to, hit set number, you're going to type in a message, hit send. If you are driving or don't want to be bothered and you want a message to immediately pop back to anybody that sends you a text, you just check right here and then you type in whatever that message is going to be, and right here is where all your messages are going to be displayed. So it does pretty much everything, however it's not real busy because I want to keep everything as simple as possible. And then the final thing is you're going to want to put the little texting component and a notifier component inside of there, and texting is over here inside of social, this guy right here. And I also want to talk about these guys because they don't always work, and it's better that you don't just get frustrated and pull your hair out over nothing. Contact picker, email picker, and phone number picker normally don't work on every single phone. So if you're going to make those, just understand you're probably going to be pulling your hair out over them because they don't work very, very well. Texting, however, does work pretty well. So I'm going to jump in here and show you exactly how to make this interface right here work by jumping into the block section. So here we are in the block section, and I'm doing this completely out of my head, so what I'm going to do is just come through here and explain my thought process as I'm going. So let's just think here, variables that I am going to need. I'm probably going to need the ability to store the number to text. So I'm just going to create it. I can always go back if I decide that I don't want to use that, but for now I'm going to use it. So I'm going to put 0 in there as the default value, and there we go. Another variable I'm probably going to use, probably a message. Probably going to want to store the message that I want to send. Maybe not, maybe I do. Just going to come in here, my message. And I'm going to come in here and just put a default value of nothing as well. Also come in here and duplicate this. Something else that I might want to store. Message received. Okay. So with these tutorials, I try to do things a little bit different each time just so we can think our way through the process. And then finally, I'm probably going to want to store the list of every single message. So in that situation, I'm going to want to store those in a list. So I'm going to call this message list. And since it is a list, I'm going to come over to the list section. I'm going to create an empty list. Okay, so those are the variables at this point that I think I need. Now let's think about what we're going to need to do. Well, let's jump back over into the designer, and let's just start here at the top. I need something to occur for them to be able to set the number that they want to text with. So jump back over into blocks and let's think about that. Well, I think whenever the set phone number button is clicked on, let's come up here, grab this. I'm going to want to save a couple things. I'm also going to want to check for a couple things. Some of the things I want to check for, actually, I think I want to check to make sure that it is actually a number. And I also want to verify that it isn't empty. So how am I going to, I want to do two things. So that means logic, and I'm going to need an and. So drop that guy right there. And I'm also checking things. So that means I need if, then, else. Drop that right there. Drop in the and because I want to check two different things, not just one. And what do I want to check? Well, I want to check that they actually entered a number. So come inside of here, and if I scroll down here you can see is a number, is something that I can verify. So let's take that, drop it right there. And the thing that I want to verify is the number that is in the text box. So just click on that. And then let's say I want to get the text that's inside of there and drop it right there. So right there I'm verifying that the number was a number was actually entered. And also, just to be safe, I also want to check that it's not empty. So I'm going to go into logic again, not, because I can check if it is empty, but I can throw that on there to check that it is not empty. Come in here, is empty, right there. Come over here, drop that right there. And I actually want the not in front of it. Can I put it there? No, I can't. So let's drag it and drop it right there. There you go. And then I just want to do all these tests on the same thing. And there we go. So I'm going to be able to check if it's a number and that it's not empty. If it actually is a number, which is what's going to happen if I get down into the then part, what do I want to do? Well, let's say that I want to store that in number to text. So let's get set, drop that right there, and then let's get this guy, duplicate, and there we go. And the actual app that you saw at the very beginning of this tutorial, I tape it at the end after I've made this. So if that worked, you know what I'm doing here worked. So just wanted to let you know. Also, let's say that I want to notify them of some different things. Probably just going to give them a short alert here, so drop that right there. And that short alert in this situation is number is set. So I think that makes sense to put that there, at least for now, as I'm thinking. I want to also be able to handle if they didn't enter a number, if they start putting letters or other crazy things inside of there. So I'm going to get an else, drop that right there. And in this situation, I want to give them a more serious notifier. So let's say I wanted the show message dialog. Drop that right there. And in this situation, I'm going to tell them exactly how I want the phone number to be entered. So let's say in the message area, I want to say enter a phone number without dashes. Okay. That might be something that would mess something up. And there we go. We fixed that. And in the title section, let's say I want to say invalid phone number, like that. And then the button text is just going to be okay, like normal. All right, there we go. And I think that that's going to handle everything that's going to come up whenever we're trying to set the number that we want to start texting with. And I can move this up here if I think it looks better. Okay, now what do I want to do? Let's jump over into Designer again, just work our way through. The next thing that can possibly happen here is they actually send a text message. So let's figure out how we're going to solve that. All right, they're going to send it, obviously, when the send button is clicked on. So let's just come in here, grab this, drop it right there. So what are we going to do? Well, I want to verify that the number to text is not equal to 0, and I also want to verify that I actually have a message to send. And number to text is right here. So this means I'm going to do an if then else again. Grab this, drop it right there. And I'm going to have multiple different things occur here. So I'm going to go into logic again. I want to check two things. So I'm going to get the and drop it right there. And what did I say that I wanted to do? I want to verify that the number to text, which was set right here, is not equal to 0. So let's just go number to text and let's get it. Drop it right there. And then I want to verify it's not equal to 0. Let's go into math and do that. Get this. Drop it right there. And not equal to, and let's get this, and let's say not equal to 0. This is 0. There we go. And I also want to verify that they actually gave me a message. And that's pretty much what this is going to say. So let's just duplicate this, grab this, drop it right here, except I'm not checking the phone number this time, so let's delete that. And instead, let's go and find out what is actually in the message text box. So my message text box, and let's just get the text directly out of there. Zoom out, and there is that. All right, so that's verifying that we actually have a real number to text and that there is a message to send. So what are we going to do if those things are true? Well, I think that we want to go and set the number, get the message, and send it. There's not much else to do there. So we're going to do all that in the texting area. So we're going to say that we want to set the number that we want to text to. So let's drop that right there. And while we're here, let's go and get the message as well. Set the message that we want. And then let's also come in here and send the message. So there we go. Got all those things all set up. So we have to get our number. There's our number to text. Let's duplicate that, drop it right there. Let's get our message that we're going to want to send. Let's duplicate that, drop that right over here, and we're going to send the message. Also, however, remember we have this guy, message list here, that's going to keep track of all of our messages. So I'm going to want to save that. So we need to get this, and then we need to go up here to the list box and add items to list. Okay, let's get that, drop that right there. Whoops. Okay, and this is going to be the list we're going to add to. And I want to add a couple different things here. So that means I want to get text and join. There we go. And let's say that I want to add 3 things. So get another string, drop that right there. Let's get myself a little bit more space. Feeling kind of cramped. Okay, so what I want to put here is, let's just say it's going to be you, like this. Drop that there. Remember, very often whenever you do this, it doesn't keep that space. So there the space is now. I then want to get the message, duplicate, because this is going to be the message you're sending. And then let's say that I also want to put in a new line afterwards to make sure that everything's on its separate line when it prints out on the screen. And there we go. Now what I want to do is update the message box that's over here. So this guy right down here, it's a label. No messages is what the default value is. And it's called all messages label. And let's say that I want to actually do that in a separate procedure. But I also just thought of something. In screen 1, whenever you are setting up everything, you're going to want to choose an option in regards to how the app is going to work when texts are going to be received. So let's initialize this, get the screen initialized, jump back over into the texting area. And what you're going to do here is you're going to go to receiving enabled and set, drop it. And you can actually put your mouse over this and it'll tell you all kinds of things. Basically, there's two different options. Well, there's three options. One, if you put the value of 1 in here, messages aren't going to be received. You put 2 in there, messages are going to be received if your app is running. If you put 3 in there, messages are going to be received even if your app is running in the background. So let's just say I want to put 3 in there. Okay, so there's 3. So that's one thing I forgot. No big deal. They're solved. Alright, so this gets back to actually updating the message area inside of our app. I'm going to create a procedure for that. There you go. Get this, drop it right here. And let's call this procedure update message label. Update, because that's what it's doing. Message label. There we go. And what am I going to want to do here? Well, I'm thinking that the very first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that everything's zeroed out of this. So I'm going to go in here to set the text and drop that right there. And I'm going to give it no value. There we go. Drop that there. Then what do I want to do? Well, I'm probably going to want a temporary holding area for our messages. So let's go and create a new variable. And I'm just going to stick it right here. And I'm just going to call this temp messages because that's pretty much what it is, and give it a default value of nothing as well because it's not going to have any messages in the beginning. And I'm also going to set this to nothing in the beginning because it's not going to have a value whenever it starts either inside of update message label because we're going to update everything. Now what I want to do is I want to pull out item for item all of these items that I added to our global message list. So I haven't used it before, I don't believe I have. Inside of control, you can actually come down here and the for each block actually will cycle through every single item in any list and pop them out one by one. And whenever it gets to the end of the list, it'll quit for you. So you don't have to worry about things like, is the list long enough and things like that, like we have covered in the past. So let's duplicate this and just give it the list that you want it to cycle through. And then I'm going to store them inside of this guy right here. So set, drop that there. And I'm going to need a join because I'm going to have both the messages that were in there before I added a new item as well as the new item that I'm adding. Okay, whenever it first hits it, it's not going to have anything inside of there, but we will soon change that. So get that. And then let's get the new item. And that's right here. Get. You can change that name, but item's fine. And then after I have that all set, I want to set this guy right here to whatever temp messages has outside of the for each block. So I'll duplicate that. Whenever it gets out of there, everything's going to be set up properly. And then I can just go to get messages, duplicate this, and get this, delete block, and there we go. So that's going to work. Everything's all set up. So that's pretty cool. So that's going to get us back to our send button. So let's go and move these out of the way, because we need a little bit more room here. Drop that there, drop that there. And update message label is going to handle all that for us. So let's go into procedures, update message label, drop that right there. There we go. And let's say that we also want to put in a message if their number wasn't entered or there was no message. So let's come in here and do an else, drag that over there. And let's just use a notifier. It's going to be pretty simple, I think. So I'll just use show alert, drop that there. And what do I want to put inside of this? Enter a valid number, something like that. A valid number, because that's the most common thing. And there we go. And that brings us to the only other thing that can basically happen. Let's jump over here into the designer section. Here we are. We need to handle receiving messages, and also are we going to send back an immediate response to any messages we receive whenever this is checked. So back over into blocks, and let's make that. Move this over here a little bit. Come in here. There we go. And let's get this little guy. There we go. All right. And basically all of that is handled automatically for us with the texting component. They have a little method that's going to be called message received anytime a message is received. So that's going to be useful. And there's all kinds of other useful things here. So I'm going to want to do multiple things if multiple different things happen. So I'm going to go into control, if then, Drop that right there. And what do I want to do? Well, basically, if the busy checkbox is checked, well, then I want to send an immediate response back that basically says I'm busy. So where's that at? Busy checkbox, there it is. And is it checked? I'm going to find out. Drag that right there, put it there, and that's going to return if it's checked or not. If it is checked, well, I want to send a message back to them. So let's come in here, come down into the texting part, and I want to set the texting phone number that I'm going to be sending my canned response to, and that's going to be right here where it says number. So let's just grab that, drop it right there. And then the message that I want to send, again, come in here and just set message. Pretty easy. Drop that right there. And the message in this situation that I want to send, this is the message they sent to us. The message that I want to send is my I'm busy message. So that's busy text box is what that's called. I just want to get the text out of there. And there that is. Busy text box. Drag it over here. And then what do I do? Well, I'm going to probably store everything. So I want to add all these messages to my list. So I'm going to go to lists again. Add items to list. Come down here. Drop that right there. And the list that I'm going to want to add things to is going to be the message list. So let's just duplicate that. Bring that over here. I'm going to zoom out and grab this, put it right here. There is the list that I'm going to be working with. And then the item that I want to add to it is going to be multiple lines long. And in this situation, it's going to be me answering them. Okay? So I'm going to come over here and go into text and get a join. Drop that right there. Give myself some more space. Zoom in. And what am I going to say? Well, I think I need about 4 lines. So let's go in here, get myself 2 more strings. And remember, this is going to be displayed on my screen. And I'm just going to say you, which means that, you or whoever sent the message sent this, meaning you, if you're using this app. And there we go. And then let's say, well, actually, you know what? I don't even need, let's go and get rid of one of these strings. Oh, that went away. Okay, try that. I think 3 is enough now that I'm thinking about it. All right, what do I want to put next? Do I want to put the whatever the text is in the busy text box, which is this guy? So let's duplicate that, drop it right there. And then just like before, I want to put a new line inside of there. There we go, and there we are. And then, of course, I want to update my message label. So go into here and update message label, drag it over here, drop it right there. Else, if I do not have that checked, what am I going to do? Well, I first need to put the else statement in here. Else, drop it right there. And I'm actually going to do something different here than you're actually going to see at the end of, or you're actually going to see at the beginning of this video, because I don't want my telephone number to be flying around the world. That would not be good. So in this situation, well, I'm actually going to show you multiple different ways to do this. So basically, I'm going to get another string, drop it right here. If you want the person that sent the text to show their telephone number right here, all you're going to do is you're going to get the number up here. You're going to get this right here, get number, and drop it right there. In the real world, you're going to want this, because you're going to want to see the phone number of the person that actually sent you the message. And then, of course, drop this right here, drop this right here, and then you're going to want to put a colon inside of here. Well, let's just do it. Colon, there we go, and there we go, and let's put another space inside of there. So that's what it's going to be like in the real world. I'm also going to update my message. And there we go. Otherwise, in this situation, I'm going to delete this. This is what you actually saw at the beginning of the tutorial. I'm going to call this caller. And there we go. And that is everything. That is the whole entire app. It's pretty simple. I simplified everything to make sure that you'll be able to make apps just like this. And of course, you can download this app. It's in the description underneath this video. And like I said before, all the blocks, of course, are also available at that link. Please leave your questions and comments below. Otherwise, till next time.